Hello, I'm the Angry Spork. Marvel and DC aren't the only source for superheroes, as proven by the legendary animation studio Hanna-Barbera. And I'm not just talking about their cartoons about DC and Marvel heroes. Why is Galactus green? Did he attack on St. Patrick's Day or something? In 1966, beginning with Frankenstein Jr. and the Impossibles, they started producing cartoons that leaned more toward the costume crime fighter angle, some more goofy, others a bit more serious in tone and design, such as Blue Falcon and Space Ghost. I watched a few of them as a kid long after they stopped making new episodes, and from what I remember, each show was in its own continuity. But that's changed in the series we begin looking at today. Starting in 2016, DC Comics began publishing a 12-issue maxi-series where the likes of Birdman, the Galaxy Trio, Johnny Quest, and more would all inhabit the same universe. As each other, of course. DC's poorly conceived reboots make their canon convoluted enough. I'm taking issue with Future Quest, so let's start with issue number 1 and see if this conglomeration of classic cartoon characters makes us want to turn the page or turn our heads. The cover is really good, a bold, striking image of the many featured protagonists charging forth as if from wherever that light is emanating. And naturally, the one leading the way is the 12-year-old kid and his tiny dog. Bandit will pee on anything in the name of justice, and because he's not quite housebroken yet. There are several variants too, a stylized Space Ghost one with Zorak and Brak. Tell me that's not a coast-to-coast reference with a straight face, I dare you. Another with Johnny and Haji crossing a rickety bridge, a turned-over ATV below, and some creatures sneaking up on them, because parental supervision is for suckers. Then we have another one just for the Herculoids, and the last one featuring several different heroes flying in different directions while Space Ghost floats there, looking kind of confused. Are they all here to audition for that late-night talk show host job too? Written by Jeff Parker, with art by Doc Shaner, Steve Rude, Jordi Belair, and Steve Buccellato, we begin on a distant world called Voronova, a few years back, its population evacuated and all its power plants destroyed. It was part of a plan by General Orxis to fight an entity known as Omnicron, and it kinda worked, except the enemy is still kicking and the General, not for much longer. He gives his power band to his captain, and his dying words telling him to join the rest of the Space Force to prevent their foe from regenerating, or else the loss of Voronova was for nothing. On a 2-page spread, he contacts his comrades in Unit 90, who've lost several members against Omnicron. After flying over some devastated landscape of fire and dismembered tendrils, they're running out of energy. Fortunately, the captain arrives bearing Orxis' power band, which seems to give them a chance, because it's 3 times the length? Didn't seem to do the General much good, but whatever. The various aliens fire at the core of Omnicron, and it's about to go all explodey, probably taking them all with it. The captain, Kyer, is okay with this, but another soldier mentions that this band in particular has a force field, pressing the appropriate button. And while we're fighting for our lives against this eldritch terror from beyond the stars, let me show you which button is for the Bluetooth functionality. After the explosion, Omnicron is defeated, and Kyer is the lone survivor on a barren, desolate world. On the plus side, we now have a place to film the next Mad Max movie. Jump to present-day Earth, specifically the Florida Everglades, where Johnny Quest is having fun flying around with a jetpack, while Haji is a bit more serious, reminding him they're supposed to be looking for strange phenomena. Actually, Dr. Quest used strange phenomena in ironic reference to soap in order to get Johnny to take a bath. That's when they encounter some alligators, and Johnny decides to be a bit more daring. Haji, watch this! Nothing good ever follows that phrase. Especially when you made me watch that Family Guy marathon. It was only 2 episodes, and their bad writing made it feel like 5 hours. He narrowly misses one gator's maw when bodyguard Race Bannon, safely in the helicopter above, reminds him they're on a recon mission. Almost like 12-year-olds aren't qualified for this kind of thing. Another light show is expected, for which Dr. Quest will need some scans, but if anything dangerous pops up, like a vortex with killer plants, which is alluded to have happened in a previous outing, the kids are to hightail it and leave it to Race. Apparently, turning off comms, he mentions aloud how he used to test the prototype flight packs much the same way Johnny is using his, and that they're actually out earlier than the next predicted phenomena, so the doc can attend a meeting, which he's saying to Bandit. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Tell secret information to the resident gossip. About 3 miles away, International agents Ray Randall and Deva Sumati have landed after a long flight, along with a familiar blue bird. They talk a bit about their boss Falcon 7, who's not really seen in person, while Avenger snags himself a lizard. Looks like Geico's gonna need a new mascot. A drone scans for confirmation of their identities, and they're allowed in, to see Dr. Benton Quest. They exposit the scientist's backstory, how he worked for NASA and the Defense Department until a saboteur's bomb killed his wife. He contracts his work privately now, not working directly with the government, but because he's one of 3 very valuable smarty pants, the organization Intelligence One assigned Race Bannon to protect him from enemy influence. Then a voice starts speaking a bit more passive-aggressive about the doctor, taking in orphans but letting his family tag along into dangerous locales, lecturing about peace but contributing to weapons development. And we find this was none other than Quest himself, concluding that he simply wants to do something great for the world. I thought I'd found it in fidget spinners, but that did not go the way I wanted at all. I'm sorry if it seems like we were profiling you, Doctor. Still, I did not expect to be monitored. I didn't eavesdrop. Mr. Randall's voice carries. And it's kind of funny how Ray is lightly gesturing to his neck, as if taking a little umbrage with that remark. That's only because of my original training as an opera singer, but I was told I wasn't cut out for it, so naturally my backup career was superhero secret agent. For the past decade, Benton has noticed vortices appearing and disappearing around the globe, sometimes emitting energy, other times data he hasn't been able to interpret, and often rocks with properties not found in their entire solar system. Friedrich Miescher, the first to identify DNA. Marie Curie discovered polonium and radium. Dr. Benton Quest.
I got a rock.
The phenomena has only intensified as the years pass, each instance lasting longer and causing more chaos, like the aforementioned killer plants, that time appearing to be a hole punched in space-time. Superboy Prime, do you know anything about this? Whoosh! It's entirely possible this panel is supposed to have 2 different scenes that are layered over one another, but it is kind of funny to see Benton looking at a rock so intently while 2 children in his care and their dog are being attacked by floating tumbleweeds while Race is using a flamethrower on another. Father's Day at the Quest House must be a treat. Anyway, his lab was intentionally located near where vortices have regularly appeared, and he's been able to accurately predict occurrences like the one expected today. What makes this a concern for the likes of Internation is the involvement of Dr. Zinn, another of the 3 great minds, but less morally picky about who buys his tech. He's beaten the quests to a few sites already, and has taken some samples, likely with the aid of a larger consortium, which Deva figures could be Fear. Frenchmen eating armadillo rib cages. Of course, it's so obvious! An unidentified object suddenly appears in a flash of light, which we can see Quest's holoscreens detecting as a possible distress signal via ion bursts. Too bad Benton didn't think to follow them back on Twitter. They could have used private messaging. The recon team, that's 2/3 children, is only a mile away, but before there's any race to see what crashed, a large craft flies over and blasts the tail of Race's chopper. He orders the boys to take cover while he tries to land, while the craft launches battle drones built by Dr. Zinn, which head off toward the mystery object. Haji's flight pack is hit, and he starts flying wildly, barely able to free himself before Johnny catches him. Since each pack only supports 1 user, their landing is rough, let's call it. And they probably disturb the fish that this kid is trying to catch. On another 2-page spread, they look up and find more vortices in one spot than they've previously encountered, but now they can see through them, featuring various fellow Hanna-Barbera characters. Johnny, I see a giant purple gorilla, a squirrel in a trench coat, and a talking shark. What are you doing? I'm trying to get this jetpack working. There's a portal with 3 girls in cheetah cosplay. That's the world I want to live in. They look like they're too old to be interested in you. I'm an adolescent. Logic means nothing to me. They're discovered by one of the orb drones, now sporting legs and looking all spider-like, as it tries blasting them. Race is calling the lab, reporting what he can about the attack, and seeing gunmen in black uniforms gliding down from the enemy craft. Benton tells the agents to head to a docked hovercraft, but one of them has other ideas. "I've got my own transportation."
"Dang it, Ray, we're in swamplands. Your Segway is useless here."
Dr. Zinn is watching Quest from the 1960s by the look of things, muttering about how he'll control the Force trying to make it through the portal, and he needs only one more specimen to be completely prepared. As he tells a minion that looks like the evil clone of Zana of the Wonder Twins, the entity isn't able to make it through in one piece, held back by some other smaller force that is slowing the creature but not stopping it. The vortexes are its way of leaving parts of itself on Earth, which, fragmented from its mind, are vulnerable to control by the Mad Doctor, so by the time they join together, they can be controlled by fear. Fragrant equines applying for refinancing! Benton and Deva are on their way to the hovercraft, but like I said, Special Mission Agent Randall has faster transport. "I fly for the glory of Ra. The sun is my strength. The sky is my home. Life is my highway. I'm gonna drive it all night long." With that, and Avenger at his side, he flies off, magically suited up as... His voice really does carry. Back to the kids. They're hiding from the Spider-Bot, knowing another is lurking around, and decide to focus on finding their Action Manny, whom Johnny is certain survived.
Being shot down is Race's favorite landing style.
So the human version of Launchpad McQuack is Race Bannon. Good to know. That's when an ominous voice speaks, as if inside their heads.
"We connect. We cross the void. We want to try that new Noodles and Company that just opened on Main Street."
Hoping Dr. Quest is on the way, the pair flee to a 2-page spread, where Haji trips on a large 10-legged Triceratops-looking creature. This is Tundro from the Herculoids, who makes his debut in the story dead.
Stop! He's already dead.
Another vortex appears briefly before them, now much clearer as they see the likes of Mitor, the other Herculoids, Space Ghost, and the genie Shazan. He could grant unlimited wishes, but only if they were for formulaic limited-motion cartoons. Not that, as a cartoon myself now, I'm exactly one to criticize motion, or drawing ability. They're found out by the spider drones, but fortunately the kid we saw fishing earlier swings by in his airboat and lets them aboard, though doesn't stop because, evil robots in pursuit. The machines seemed more preoccupied with collecting Tundro and are on their way. Not sure how, given the size of the creature and the thin, spindly legs they walk on, but whatever. Our hero's rescuer is Ty, and along with his cat Snag, has been looking for the pair since he saw them crash several pages ago. That and the fish weren't really biting, so... He's willing to take them to their dad's place, but as they're headed towards open water, another portal opens in front of them, and from it, a really irate space ghost with a charged power band. "I will not stop you. I will destroy you!" Whoa! Someone's still bitter about losing the late show to Colbert. On to issue 2, with a cover featuring the Herculoids, seeming to be directed by Space Ghost monkey pal Blip, and led by Bandit. Somewhere, there's a PetSmart that is about to seriously reconsider their free treats policy. There's an alternate cover of Johnny and Haji looking into maybe a sarcophagus with discarded wrappings and hieroglyphs on the inside, as a mummy stands behind them. Their mission of trying to coincidentally bump into Lara Croft does not go as planned. We begin on planet Amzad, which coincidentally is in the same solar system as Voronova from the beginning. Here we find humans Xandor, his wife Tara, and their son Dorno, who calls his parents by their first names. Dang newfangled parenting. Then we have the Herculoids, Tundro, meaning this is a flashback, the gelatinous Gleep and Gloop, the dragon-like Zok, and the stone ape Egu. They're facing Omnicron, now torn in half by their allies, who seeks to absorb the most powerful among them, but between Egu's strength and Tundro's fire blasts, they defeat another of its mouths. However, there's still plenty more to destroy, so they can't let up. Gloop shields Xandor and Dorno from a tendril that sneaks up on them and gets absorbed. "No! Resist it, Gloop! Don't meld!" "How many times do I have to tell you? Do not get subsumed by the otherworldly evil! Jeez!"
No! No!
No. No, 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 no. Well, yes.
Tara is contacted by Space Ghost, who, alongside the Galaxy Trio, has managed to bifurcate Omnicron. It's too powerful as a whole, but cut into sections it can be destroyed. However, the Ghost's sidekicks has detected that Omnicron is going critical, and its brain activity is spiking. Turns out that it read a clickbait article listing top celebrity favorite foods, and number 5 really did blow its mind. Ghost reasons that it's sacrificing most of its body to escape through a vortex, much like how it escaped to the planet it's on now. Both halves become unstable, one seeming to pull in the Galaxy Trio, while Tundra attempts to take the brunt of the other half to protect Xandor and Dorno as it explodes. What remains on each battlefield is a surprisingly bright hole in space that begins pulling the Herculoids in. Presuming the Galaxy Trio are dead, and faulting himself for not destroying Omnicron completely, I was just so curious how it'd taste after marinating in my grandmother's secret sauce and grilled to perfection. Space Ghost enters the portal on his end, and Tara does the same, telling Xandor to look after their son, assuring that she and their allies will return. I've heard of spouses taking separate vacations, but this seems a little extreme. This brings us to the present, where, backed up by Haji with an oar, Johnny is aiming a flare gun at the Ghost, asking if he's causing these storms. The caped stranger, looking a bit transparent, notices that his wards Jan and Jace made it through, and as he fades away in a flash of light, declares he and Omnicron will stay here. We're going to counseling, and that's final! Then they see what the stranger was talking about. That also happened to be what Quest Team was looking for, the Phantom Cruiser. They head inside to find a pilot, Jan, alive but unconscious, seemingly protected by a series of airbags. Then from the shadows, Blip appears and attacks Johnny.
Is it a possum? What?
Okay, so Ty said he lives in Maryland and is spending the summer with his grandparents in Florida, but why would he think that was anything other than a monkey? Fortunately, Haji has a way with animals, speaking slowly and soothingly, possibly directing the primate's eyes to the shimmering gem on his turban, and calming him down so Ty and Johnny can carry their injured guest. Not like an ambulance is going to be by anytime soon. They head outside but are quickly stopped by Fear agents, insisting on taking the alien girl, who's just waking up. Johnny makes an interesting point.
It's a lot of tough guys who point guns at kids.
Hey, words hurt, mister. But bullets hurt more, so shut up. In a really cool moment, Race literally swings onto the scene, shooting the enemy and giving the kids opportunity to amscray. Even Bandit helps out, because dogs are awesome. While Johnny and the others get away, they encounter some backup goons, able to evade them thanks to Blip's quick thinking and activating the invisibility belts on himself and Jan, cloaking everyone. I guess because they're in contact with each other. However, it's right after the monkey turns the belts off that Bandit rushes in, barking with joy at seeing his young masters. Because dogs are awesome, but not always stealthy. On a 2-page spread, they're spotted by the infrared sensor of a spider drone, but before it can retrieve Jan, it's blasted by the well-timed arrival of Birdman, whom Ty seems to have heard of. Fall! Summer! He reminds me of someone. Michael Keaton! No sooner does he check in to see if the kids are okay than the hero is ensnared by an energy net of some kind. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it kind of feels weird for Ty to just yell his name again like this. Like it's been his only bit of dialogue for the past several pages. But moving on. Johnny tries to lead Jan away, apologizing for making her run after being in a crash, but she doesn't seem to remember much. Just a vague memory of someone else in the ship when they're stopped by even more goons. Fortunately, Dr. Quest and Deva arrive in a hovering slop sink with wings. The brilliant inventions of one Dr. Benton Quest, ladies and gentlemen. Agent Sumati enters the fray, and, I guess ha-hoo is what Jan says when she's impressed. Though, given her memory loss, it just might be another sign of a head injury. Reese catches up and says the enemy is clearing out, since, as they look up, they got the spaceship they were after, being lifted away by a tandem rotor helicopter. That's not Fear, that's a local towing company, and if you want to know how they can afford an aircraft like that, just wait until Jan gets the bill for being double parked in a swamp. As the goons make their way to their escaped watercraft, one mentions how poorly Zin will take it that they let the girl get away, when he trips over the still invisible Jace, lying unconscious in the mud. Hello, consolation prize! Later at the quest compound, Ty has called his parents to assure them he's okay, then hands the phone back to Deva. I can't believe you convinced my family to let me stay with you all for a while. It was such a rousing, inspiring monologue that also put any worries to rest. Such a shame it happened off-panel. Since he was spotted with Johnny and his family, fear will be after Ty now, too, so this is for his family's safety as well. Benton has determined that whatever is creating the portals is honing in on a specific point, and likely the biggest intersection yet will happen the next day in Brazil. Omnicron is arriving just in time for Carnival! Dr. Zinn seems to be one step ahead of them, and is likely to send everyone he has to collect whatever makes it through the next vortex. Rather than bringing in military force, Sumati suggests a more surgical option of bringing in some other specialists. The Robonic Stooges! Yes, that was an actual thing. Meanwhile, Dr. Zinn is anticipating the arrival of the rest of the entity, assured that such power will be under his control, and no immediate danger to Earth. The pieces that have arrived are trying to connect an energy parcel that arrived earlier for quicker escape.
That point would function the way a dinosaur's second brain does, to allow it to control a massive and ever-increasing body.
Except there's no evidence of a secondary dino brain. Some did have a kind of neural canal around the hip area, but no actual second brain, near as researchers can tell. But hey, maybe they just didn't know for sure when this was written in 2015 or so. Anyway, with Quest now aided by Birdman, Zinn feels it's time his loyal agent take action herself, because she's a former mercenary with particular experience in dealing with race banning, Jezebel Jade, which probably isn't a very dramatic reveal if you're not familiar enough with the franchise. She's one of those more antagonistic, sometimes enemy love interest types, and actually had a daughter with race that he never knew about named Jessie in a 90s revival. Kinda weird she's a redhead when you think about it. So far, we've got a very intriguing story, a powerful destructive force is threatening Earth, and we've already seen how devastating it can be. We've seen heroes struggle against it, seen how it can be defeated, while still remaining dangerously tenacious in a so far decently paced build-up to its arrival. Without getting into unnecessary detail, it's established that, if only for this series, these characters have always existed in the same universe, even if this new threat is bringing them together. The art is great, with vibrant colors and characters nicely updated, with not much change to most of their original designs, which I think is good for bringing in both familiar and new readers. Interesting choice in some panels to show Space Ghost's cape as being a bit translucent. The ethereal vibe feels rather appropriate since, Space Ghost. There's a more adventurous sense of danger, with some characters dying, even possibly some more familiar ones, but without being morose or depressing. While the dialogue was mostly fine, I did think there were a couple of times it felt very much like it was echoing the cheesiness of the 60s, which may not come off as particularly natural to how people currently speak, but that could be part of the nostalgic charm. That's 2 issues down, 10 to go, so tune in next time to see how far Omnicron gets, if the quests can beat Zinn to the next portal, and if anyone shows Ty what a possum actually looks like. I am the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.